Southampton, 1912. The air thrummed with a nervous energy, a mix of hope and departure. Towering over the port, gleaming under the spring sun, was the RMS Titanic, a true ship of dreams. Steam plumed from her mighty funnels as a river of passengers flowed aboard. In a rowdy pub nearby, a lucky hand of cards changed a life forever. "I'm the luckiest man alive," Jack Dawson yelled, clutching his third-class ticket, his friend Fabrizio celebrating beside him. They were going to America. Meanwhile, on the first-class gangway, Rose DeWitt Bucator stepped onto the ship, her world defined by the cold glint of her fiancé Cal's cufflinks and her mother's stern gaze. The grandeur on her felt oppressive, suffocating. "This ship," she whispered to herself, "feels like a prison made of gold." The magnificent vessel pulled away from the shore, a floating city carrying thousands of souls, each with their own story. Completely unaware they were all sailing toward the same fate, the contrast between the worlds on board was stark. Above, in first class, crystal chandeliers dripped light onto polished mahogany and polite, sterile conversations. Below deck, in third class, the air was thick with laughter, the music of fiddles, and the joyous stomp of dancing feet. It was here, in this vibrant, chaotic world, that two souls from opposite ends of the ship were destined to meet, though not yet. One evening, overwhelmed by the emptiness of her life, Rose ran to the stern of the ship. The wind whipped her hair as she stared down into the churning, black water below. It was an escape. She climbed over the railing, her elegant shoes precarious on the edge. That's when a voice cut through her despair. It was Jack. He'd seen her from the deck below. "I feel trapped. Like I can't breathe," she cried, her voice breaking. Jack's reply was calm, steady, and utterly unexpected. "You jump, I jump." Remember that. He wasn't trying to be a hero, he was simply offering a connection, a lifeline. And in that moment, under a blanket of stars, a bond formed between the poor artist and the society girl, a connection that would alter the course of their short lives. To show her the life she was missing, Jack pulled Rose into the heart of the ship's energy, the third-class party. The room was a whirlwind of motion. Lively Irish music filled the air as couples spun and stomped, their faces flushed with joy. It was a world away from the rigid formality of first class. Jack, with a mischievous grin, took Rose's hand. "See? Life's not so serious when your feet can fly," he said, leading her into the dance. At first, she was hesitant, but the infectious rhythm and Jack's easy charm soon melted her reservations. She laughed, a true and burdened laugh, as he twirled her round. "You're impossible, but wonderful," she confessed, her eyes shining with a light Cal had never seen. For one perfect night, she wasn't a DeWitt Bucator or Cal's fiancée. She was just Rose, dancing with abandon, finally feeling free. But their bubble of joy was fragile. Their worlds were not meant to mix, and the high society that owned Rose was not willing to let her go. Cal, her fiancé, seethed with jealousy. He confronted her on the grand staircase, his voice a low growl. "You shame me with that gutter rat," he spat, his grip tight on her arm. But something inside Rose had changed. The fear that had once controlled her was replaced by a defiant fire. Looking him dead in the eye, she delivered a line that sealed her fate. "I'd rather be his whore than your wife." That night, she found Jack. They met in the shadows of the elegant corridors, their love a secret rebellion against the gilded cage she was born into. They shared dreams, fears, and a passionate connection that defied class and convention. It was a love that was pure, intense, and tragically doomed. As they stood on the deck, under the vast, silent sky, they were just two people in love, oblivious to the cold, silent killer lurking in the darkness ahead. The night of April 14th was eerily calm. The sea was like glass, reflecting a star-dusted sky. On the bridge, the lookouts scanned the horizon, the cold wind biting at their faces. Then, a shape emerged from the darkness, a mountain of ice, directly in their path. The warning bell rang frantically. "Iceberg right ahead," a crewman screamed into the phone. The ship's officers scrambled, orders were shouted, but it was too late. The massive vessel, a titan of steel, met the ancient ice with a sickening, grinding tear. Chaos erupted. Alarms blared through the ship, a jarring symphony of doom. Below deck, water began to pour in, a freezing torrent that swallowed hallways and cabins. On deck, Jack found Rose amidst the growing panic. He grabbed her hand, his grip firm, his eyes locking with hers. "Don't let go," he urged, his voice cutting through the noise. No matter what happens, the ship of dreams had become a nightmare, and their fight for survival had just begun. The end came with a deafening roar. The ship tilted at an impossible angle, its grand structure groaning under the strain. Explosions rocked the vessel as boilers gave way. People screamed, slipping and falling from the slanted decks into the freezing Atlantic. It was a scene of pure terror. Amid the chaos, Jack's only thought was Rose. He found a floating piece of debris, a wooden doorframe, and fought to get her onto it, out of the lethally cold water. As she lay shivering, he clung to the side, his body slowly succumbing to the sea depths. He was growing weaker, his words becoming faint. "You must live. Promise me, Rose. Promise me you'll survive," he whispered, his eyes full of love. She wept, her heart breaking. "I'll never let go, Jack," she cried. But his grip loosened, and with a final, peaceful look, he slipped beneath the black water, gone forever. In the devastating silence that followed, surrounded by the dead and the dying, Rose was utterly alone. Years passed. The magnificent Titanic became a ghostly wreck on the ocean floor, a silent tomb holding countless stories. An elderly Rose, her face a map of a long life lived, would often close her eyes and return to that ship. She saw Jack smile, felt his hand in hers, and heard his laughter echo across the decades. He had saved her in every way a person could be saved. She had lived the life he'd wanted for her, full of love, adventure, and grandchildren. The heart of the ocean, the priceless diamond Cal had given her, was never the real treasure. As she looked back, she understood. "He saved me," she'd narrate in her mind, "not just from the sea, but from myself." The heart of the ocean was never a jewel, it was his spirit. Some love stories never sink.